This video is for the midterm review. This is going to cover the mastery assignment number 1. So I think it's the first 3 units of this class. So the first one here, a person is planning to throw a party while shopping, they notice that hot dogs are sold in packages of 10 and buns are in packages of 8. What would the person be looking for to find the smallest amount of each item to purchase? So that is the least common multiple. So least common multiple is when you take your two numbers and you write down the multiples. So 8, 16, 24, 32, 40. Those are the multiples of 8. And so you do the same for 10, 10, 20, 30, 40. So the least common multiple, you'd have to buy 4 packages of the buns and 5 packages of hot dogs to get the same amount of items. All right, in this one, a person is planning to throw a party while shopping. They notice that hot dogs are sold in packages of 10 and buns are in packages of 8. If hot dogs are $4.79 per pack and buns are, I think that should be $1.99 per pack, which algebraic expression represents the total cost? So you always look for this, X for hot dogs, Y for buns. So if hot dogs are $4.79, it would be 479X. And then plus the cost of the buns, which are $1.99, and that's Y. So always make sure you're matching up the right variable to the right coefficient or amount that you need. All right, the next one, same setup. This one says, what is the smallest number of packages of hot dogs and buns they can purchase if they want to have the same amount? So we found that up here. That's exactly what we did here. So 10 times 4 gives me 40. So this was the buns, and it was 4 packs. And then 8 times 5 gives me 40. So this was the, or opposite way, sorry. This was the hot dogs. These were the buns. And so 8 times 5 gives you 40. So 4 packages of hot dogs, 5 packages of buns. If a person invests $10,000 into an account that earns 7% each year and is compounded annually, how much will that person have in the account after 10 years? The formula for compound interest that is compounded yearly is given to you. So A is your principal amount. 7% is your rate. You always have to turn a rate or a percentage to a fraction or a decimal. So I've always taught kids to turn the percent sign into 100, make it a fraction. You can also move the decimal. So the decimal is here, 1, 2. It's always 2 places. So principal is 10,000. Yeah, 1 plus the rate. And then the time, T is your time, is 10 years. And if you type that in your calculator just like that, I'll go ahead and do it so you can just see how to type it in. Make sure you're typing with those parentheses. Anytime that we swap out letters for numbers, it's best to put them in parentheses. It just keeps the math correct. So again, you can see the answer match up there, but that's how you would type it into your calculator. The next one is compound interest again, but this time we're compounding it 4 times a year, compounding it quarterly. So the 10,000 is still my principal. This is my rate, so 5% is 0.05. This right here, how often you're compounding it, 4 times a year. That's your N, number of times you compound it. And then 5 years, the total amount of time, that's your T. So this one would be 10,000, 1 plus, so the rate over the number of times it's compounded, and then the exponent is the same thing, 4, and then times the time, which is 5. So again, just to show you what that needs to look like in the calculator. And then set you up a fraction. And then up here, so again, this is where those parentheses come in handy. I'd put the 4 in parentheses and the 5 in parentheses. That means multiply. And that's the 12,820. Something to take note of, the A here is the total amount in the account. So that's the total amount you have. If it asks for just interest, if it wants just the interest amount, you have to take that total amount, that answer you get, and subtract the principal. So sometimes they do like to ask that. It's a second step kind of problem. All right, translate the following verbal expression to an algebraic expression. So the sum of 15 and the product of a number and 4. So the sum means we're adding, product means we're multiplying. So we're going to add 15 to the product of a number and 4. So a number we represent, I should use the dot. The unknown number is always the x. So when we multiply a letter and a number, we can just smush them together. And so again, you can match up here. Here they used an n, but anytime you're multiplying a number and a letter, it doesn't matter what the letter is, it's going to come out the same. All right, next page, exponent rule. So it says use the exponent rule to simplify the following. Okay, anytime, anything that's raised to the power of 0 equals 1. So h of t to 0 would be 1, h of 0 would be 1, t to 0 would be 1, minus h of t to 0 would be 1. So we've got 1 plus 1 plus 1 minus 1, which would be a 2. Okay, 1 plus 1 plus 1, 3, minus 1 gives you a 2. All right, a small bacteria can travel at this many meters per step. How far will it travel if it completes this many steps? Use scientific notation to answer the question. So if this is your total, and this is how far it goes per step, we're looking for... Okay, so for this one, what you're going to do is you're going to multiply your two values. Now, your calculator will do scientific notation. You can switch it over, but it will also automatically, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, put answers into scientific notation. Now, this one doesn't. If you want to make your calculator put answers in scientific notation, I'll show you that, but here's how it works. So here's my decimal point. I always want the decimal in between the first two numbers. So I'm going to move it 1, 2, 3 spaces. So I would write 2.25 times 10. And then if I move it to the left, that exponent is positive. Okay. To put your calculator into scientific notation, you're going to go to Settings. And then you're going to go to Document Settings. And then you're going to change the exponential format to scientific. That stays the same. That stays on real. And then the calculation mode becomes approximate. And then you're going to make default. Make sure that you undo that, though.
Oh, shoot. I got to go get slow.
So when you put it in, so you can see now your calculator is spitting out all the answers in scientific notation. To undo it, if you go back to the home page, actually let me do this and clear out. Settings, Document Settings, and I'm going to restore settings to factory defaults and then make default. That resets it for you. All right, a small bacteria can travel, again, this distance meters per step. What is this in scientific notation? Again, if your calculator is already set in scientific notation, so let me change it back. You can just type this number in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The E is the times 10. Okay. Again, it's just moving a decimal. And so in this case, we would move the decimal here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I want it on that side of the 5. And since I moved it to the right, that exponent becomes negative. All right, so on this one, it says how many steps is this? So all it wants you to do is put this number in scientific notation. It just wants the number of steps in scientific notation. So 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And so again, this number, 4.5, E is the times 10, 9 is the exponent. Okay. All right, this is going to start the next section, which is expressions and equations. All right, so the first one says simplify the following equation. We are subtracting polynomials. So anytime you subtract polynomials, you are changing the sign. This subtraction sign gets distributed to everything, each term. So this would be negative 4x cubed, positive 5x, or is it a 6? 6x squared, negative 2x, and then negative 4. And then all you're doing is combining like terms. So these are like terms. 12 plus negative 4 is an 8. There's no other squared term, so 5x squared. 2x and 2x are like terms. They cancel each other out. And then positive 6 and negative 4 make a positive 2. All right, FOIL, F-O-I-L. F stands for the first, so you multiply 3k times 6k. So 3 times 6 is 18. K times k is k squared. O is outside, 3k times negative 6. So 3 times negative 6 is negative 18. Keep the k. I for inside, so 6 times 6k. 6 times 6 is 36. Keep the k. And then L for last, 6 times negative 6 is negative 36. Sorry, I'm running off the page here. These two terms need to be combined. So negative 18 plus 36 is a positive 18. Keep the k. And then the minus 36. All right, cubed. So what you have to do is expand this. X minus 5 cubed, expanded, looks like this. I'm going to do these two first. I'm going to FOIL these two first. So I've got x squared minus 5x plus 25. Combine like terms. And then I'm going to take this and I'm going to multiply it by x minus 5. So I'm going to multiply everything by x, each term here. So x cubed minus 10x squared plus 25x. And then I'm going to multiply everything by the negative 5. So negative 5x squared, this would be negative 50x. And then 25 times a negative 5 would be a negative 125. And then you combine like terms. Negative 10 and negative 5 make a negative 15. Positive 25 and a negative 50 make a negative 25. Okay. This one is distribute. You can distribute the 10m squared across everything. You just multiply by each term. So 10 m squared times m squared is m to the 4th. 10 times 9 is 90. M squared times m is m cubed. 10 times negative 6 is negative 60. And just keep the m squared. All right, solve for m. All right, solving equations. Your life has been made easy. In your calculator. So let me get mine reset. Okay, you can do menu 3-1. 3m plus 4 equals 3m minus 9, comma m. This one tells you no solution. They don't always do that. No solution means these lines are parallel. They are never going to touch. All real solutions, when you graph them, the lines graph on top of each other. Okay? Which of the following makes this inequality false? So this one you can guess and check with. So just to show you what happens here, if I plug a 2 in for the x and a 2 in for the y, and I solve this. 3 times 2 is 6. 2 times 2 is 4. 6 plus 4 is 10. So this inequality now says 10 is less than or equal to 6. That is false. And so that's kind of what that's talking about, the easiest way you can guess and check with those. All right, so on this one we are doing a lot of the same. So expand, that just means you're going to distribute this. 2x times x is 2x squared. 2x times a negative a is negative 2ax. Okay, simplify. So remember, if we're subtracting that second polynomial, all the signs change. And then we combine like terms. So there's no other 4x cubed, so we know it's going to start with that, 4x cubed. Negative x squared and negative x squared make a negative 2x squared. In front of plain old x's, there's a 1. So same in front of that x. That's a 1x. But when we write it, we write our final answer. We write it just as an x. And the negative 2 and a positive 3 gives me a positive 1. All right, we're simplifying again. So again, subtraction, distribute that subtraction sign, distribute that negative. And then combine like terms. So x squared and negative 2x squared, remember there's a 1 here. So 1 plus negative 2 makes a negative 1 or a negative x squared. 2x and 3x makes a 5x. Negative 1 and a positive 6. Oh, that should be negative. I'm sorry. Makes a negative 7. All right, this one is multiplying. So the easiest way to multiply ones like this is to make you a grid and then write your other polynomial this way. And then you can grid it out and multiply your pieces. So 2x squared times x squared is 2x to the 4th. 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. X squared times x is x cubed. 2x times negative 1. So this column is actually easy. If you're multiplying by a negative 1, you're just changing the signs. So if it's negative, it becomes positive. Positive becomes negative. Negative 3x times x squared is negative 3x cubed. Negative 3 times negative 2 is a positive 6. X times x is x squared. 6 times x squared is 6x squared. 6 times negative 2 is a negative 12. Keep the x. And then everything should line up. So 2x to the 4th is your first term. And then here's your next set of common terms. So 2x to the 4th. Negative 3 and negative 4 is negative 7, x cubed. Here's all your squareds. So 6 plus 6 minus 2 is a 10, and that's x squared. Negative 12 and positive 3 makes a negative 9x, and then just one constant. All right, solving again. Again, you can do this in your calculator with menu 3-1. Menu 3-1. 3/4, 3/4 x plus 5/6 equals 5x minus 125 over 3, and then just make sure that you comma x at the end. X equals 10. Okay, solving inequalities. X plus 3 is less than 6. You want the x by itself. So we're going to subtract 3 from both sides. 6 minus 3 is 3. Okay, so for this one, we're going to solve this one. So this one's a little bit different. This is a compound. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add 2 everywhere. So negative 4 plus 2 is negative 2. This is going to cancel. 1 plus 2 is 3. Okay. Which graph best represents the following inequality? So we have to have this solved, which we already did. X is less than or equal to 3. Less than or equal then means you use an open circle. So you can eliminate anything that does not have an open circle. That means you're going to put an open circle at 3, and your arrow actually faces the same direction as your inequality sign if x is on the left. But it's all the numbers. You draw your arrow through all the numbers that are less than 3. Okay? This one here is this solution. So this is going to be an open circle. This is going to be a closed circle. So we're going to have an open circle at negative 2 and a closed circle at 3. And then the line connects those two. Which of the following makes this inequality false? So again, you can guess and check on answers like this. If we, again, plug this answer in. So remember, ordered pairs are always x comma y. 6 times 10 is 60. 4 times 2 is 8. 60 plus 8 is 68. 68 is not less than or equal to 12, so that one makes it false. Inequality notation. So if you have the signs less than or greater than, you use parentheses. Less than or equal to, greater than or equal to is brackets. So -4 has a less than sign, so it's going to get a parenthesis. 5 has a less than or equal to sign, so it gets a bracket. Okay, so now we're on to more graphing. So which quadrant contains the point 5, -2? So 5, -2 would be 5, like here. All right, so this is quadrant 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4. So it's not quadrant 2, it's quadrant 4. All right, then it's locating points, -3, -1. So -3 means we go this way to -3. -1 means we go down, so it's W. Where is point X located? So here's point X. So we went over, so if this is 2, halfway would be 1. We went over 1, down to -4. Okay. More graphing, where is point Z located? Z is up here, so we went over to -2, up to 4. So you always do X first. Always move left or right, then you move up and down. So the number that it matches up with on the X-axis, this always comes first, this always comes second. Ordered pairs are always X, Y. Which letter matches 3, 5? Over to 3, up to 5. That's point Y. And then finally, these are probably the hardest questions, these peer reviews, so just to kind of help give you some hints. So we're going to start with the answer. The answer for this one is most answers are correct, but the student did not use the most efficient and effective strategies to arrive at the correct answers. So what score should this student receive in mathematical concept? The answers to the question should demonstrate the correct problem solving techniques and provide the correct answers. Hang on really quick. I don't know why the questions aren't showing up on that one. Okay, so I didn't clip the main piece for this, so I will pick this back up on the next video for the review for this part.